A ceasefire was announced Tuesday night. Oil crashed 16%. The dollar dropped below 99 and gold went up. Then today's PCE inflation print came in at plus 0.4% month over month, the hottest monthly reading since 2024. And gold still went up. Silver ripped nearly 6% off the session lows to 75.76 as we're recording this morning. If you think the ceasefire is bearish for metals or that hot inflation kills the gold trade, you're reading the wrong signals. What happened in the last 48 hours didn't remove the bull case, it actually upgraded it. And I'm going to show you exactly why today. Now, there's a full PDF. I have one here in my hand, our market brief. This is the actual one for today. It has everything in it, every level, the PCE breakdown, my 12-month targets, and it's all completely free. It's the very first link in the description. And if the structure we're about to walk through tells you what it's telling me, summitmetals.com is where you act on it. We're buying and selling metals every day. Now, if this kind of breakdown is useful, hit subscribe and drop your level of where you think the metals will be in the comments. Lastly, before we get into it, nothing here is financial advice. This is analysis and education built from years inside the market. Make your own decisions. 2 days ago, I told you gold's floor was 4,600 and silver's line was 69.50. I said that if both held through the Iran resolution, whatever it was, the setup for the next expansion leg was intact. I laid out scenario A de-escalation framework emerges, oil pulls back, and the rate cut bid replaces the safe haven bid. Gold never came close to 4,600. It bounced off 46.98 and is sitting at 47.83 right now. Silver held above 71 at its lowest point and is trading at 75 and say 3/4 as we record this morning. Both levels held. Scenario A is playing out, but here's the part I did not expect. The metals did not dip first. They rallied straight through the ceasefire news. That's actually more bullish than any base case. Let me give you the framework for why this matters, because we've seen this exact move before. If we go back to, say, September of 2008, when Lehman Brothers collapsed, panic hit every market on the planet, and gold fell alongside everything else. People sold whatever they could to raise cash. The narrative was that gold had failed as a safe haven. Everyone who sold that panic missed the next 168% rally. Silver dropped in half during the crisis and then ran up 467% off the bottom. Now, the reason was simple. The crisis did not kill gold's thesis. It created the conditions for the next leg. Lehman forced the Fed to cut rates, print money, and flood the system with liquidity. Gold didn't need the panic to stay. Gold needed what came after. That's the pattern. The crisis, you see, creates the monetary response, and the monetary response is what powers the next move in metals. Now, apply that to right now. The Iran war caused an energy shock, oil above $110, inflation fears spiking, the Fed stuck, the ceasefire took the energy shock off the table. Oil fell from 112 to 94. And what did the market immediately do? It priced in a rate cut. The same playbook. The crisis ends. The rate cut bid begins, and gold reprices against the new monetary reality. Except this time, we just got today's PCE print proving that inflation didn't leave with the energy spike. And that's the setup that makes this moment even more powerful, in my opinion, than in 2008. So let's talk about what shifted in the macro picture, because it happened very, very fast. Yesterday's FOMC minutes from the March meeting told you a growing number of Fed officials wanted to keep rate hikes on the table because the Iran war was feeding inflation. Some members actually pushed out their rate cut projections. The median dot still shows one cut by year end, but 7 officials see rates staying unchanged through all of 2026, and a couple even said hikes might be needed. That was yesterday's story. Then hours later, the ceasefire hit, and the entire rate calculus flipped in a single session. Oil immediately dropped 16%. The biggest single-day drop since April of 2020. The DXY dropped below 99 for the first time in 2 weeks. The 10-year yield fell from 4.34 to 4.26. Markets went from pricing 0 rate cuts now to pricing 1 cut by December. Gold went up through all of it. And then today, February PCE dropped, the Fed's preferred inflation measure, plus 0.4% month over month on both headline and core. That's 4.9% annualized, the hottest monthly clip since late 2024. And this is the February data, before the worst of the energy shock even hit consumer prices. March CPI drops tomorrow morning at 8:30. If that comes in hotter than this, and with oil at 110 through most of March, it almost certainly will, the market faces a contradiction it can't resolve. Now, here's the contradiction. Inflation is running, as we just observed, at nearly 5% annualized. But the ceasefire just took the rate hike fear off the table. The market wants to price in rate cuts because the war's over. But the inflation data says the Fed can't cut. Sticky inflation meeting a dovish pivot in expectations is the most bullish possible macro setup for our gold. It's exactly what happened in 1973 when the Fed was hiking rates into the highest inflation in a generation, and gold still rallied 107% off the bottom. The rates go up, but inflation goes up faster, real yields go negative, and gold reprices. We're watching the same dynamic build today in real time. Now, let's get into what the futures market is telling you, because this is where the story gets very, very specific. Open interest collapsed during the war. It fell over 28% from 550,000 contracts in January to around 400,000 by mid-March. That was the lowest level since December of 2018. But since the ceasefire announcement, it started rebuilding. Price up and open interest up means new money is again entering the market. That was last month's story. This is fresh conviction. And gold's implied volatility is still running above silver's. Normally, as we know, it's the other way around. Silver's the highest beta metal. When gold's volume leads, it tells you the bid is monetary. It's central banks and real money hedging, not specs chasing. That's the highest quality demand you can see in the data. Silver's picture is where the physical side gets intense. COMEX registered silver, the metal that's actually available for delivery, is sitting at around 76 million ounces. That's a 13.4% coverage ratio against outstanding open interest. Below 15% is the threshold where delivery mechanics start getting tight. We're firmly in stress territory, and open interest in silver collapsed to 111,000 contracts during the war. Again, the lowest since 2012, 14 years. The speculative froth didn't just get trimmed, it got blown out of the market entirely. What's left is structural demand against a shrinking physical base. That is a coiled spring, not what many think is actually a broken market. Now, as a dealer hedging COMEX inventory every day, I'm watching the spread between paper and physical pricing more closely than any chart. And what that spread told me this week doesn't match the headline price. The physical bid underneath has not softened. It's gotten firmer. When paper sells off and physical premiums hold or widen, that's the market telling you the selling is paper-driven, not demand-driven. We saw this in 2020 when silver futures printed lower while dealers were simultaneously sold out. The gap between what the screen says and what the physical market does is where the real information lies. May's first notice day is about 18 days out. With registered inventory this low, even a modest uptick in delivery demand creates forced buying. The paper to physical leverage ratio is 7.5 to 1. That's a lot of claims on not a lot of metal. So here's what I actually think is happening, and here's my call. Gold holds 4,700 this week and pushes toward 4,850 to even 4,900. The level I'm watching is 4,700. That's where the 4-hour EMA cluster sits. It's where today's ceasefire bounce launched from. If gold holds above that zone through tomorrow's CPI print, the path of least resistance is higher into the FOMC meeting on April 28th. Silver's level is 73. That was the morning breakout zone. If it holds any pullback, the next target is 78 to 80, the 50-day EMA that's been capping rallies since the war started. Now, here's what would change my read. If the 10-year yield spikes back to above 4.4%, meaning the market fully rejects the rate cut repricing and goes back to pricing the Fed as stuck at current rates or higher, that puts short-term pressure on both metals. Tomorrow's CPI could trigger that if it comes in so hot that even the ceasefire can't keep rate cut hopes alive. I don't think that's the most likely outcome, but that's the tripwire we all need to be aware of. Now, let me zoom out a bit to where I think we're headed over the next, say, 12 months. I believe gold will be at 5,500 and silver up to about 110. Here's the case. Central banks are still buying 800 plus tons of gold a year. The World Gold Council says they bought 27 tons in February alone. That structural bid hasn't flinched despite the war, despite the correction, despite gold falling 17% off the January peak. When the buyers don't leave during a 17% drawdown, that tells you the demand is structural and it's not speculative. On silver, the case is even tighter. The Silver Institute projects a 6th consecutive annual production deficit for 2026, about 67 million ounces. Industrial demand from solar panels, electric vehicles, and AI data center build-outs keeps growing. And the gold to silver ratio at 63 has room to compress toward the historical average around the 50s, which mechanically implies silver outperformance. JP Morgan is targeting 5,400 gold by the end of 2027. Goldman Sachs says the same number. Wells Fargo just raised their target to 6,100 to 6,300 for year end of 2026. My 5,500 goal sits right in the institutional consensus, and 110 silver reflects the supply-demand reality that the big banks are often very slow to price in. For the short-term watchers, 4,700 gold and 73 silver are your lines this week. Hold those levels through tomorrow's CPI, and the near-term path is higher. For the long-term accumulators, the structure is cleaner than it was a month ago. What's left is real demand against tight supply with a Fed that simply cannot move. If you've been waiting for a structural reset before adding, this is what that looks like. So here's the question for the comments. Does gold break 5,000 before it retests 4,500? So pick a side, drop your call below, and please know that I do look at them. And as a reminder, the PDF market brief here is in the description. the very first link. Every level, both metals, the PCA breakdown, my 12-month targets. So make sure you go in there and get yours. And if the setup we just walked through resonates with you, summitmetals.com is the place to act on it. We're a physical precious metals dealer. We buy and we sell. If you're looking to add to your stack while COMEX inventory is this tight and the macro is this constructive, we're shipping today. If you're looking to sell into strength, we buy at fair prices with fast payment. I also have an exciting announcement about our pricing. We have introduced tiered pricing. It means that as you buy in greater volume, you get a better and better deal. So make sure when you go on the site to check that out. It's really exciting. Now, if this gave you something to work with this week, please hit like, subscribe, please share this with all of your friends, those who need to know this type of information. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people, and it really matters. So thank you again so much for tuning in, and happy stacking.